Welcome to the October meeting. Thanks everybody for joining us. And we're going to start with the plant forum. Thanks everybody for participating in the plant forum. And Bobby's is from August. I'm not sure if Bobby is, I don't think I saw her join yet. And then Jeff and Connie and Charlotte and myself. And I think I just added Judy. Maybe I'll go through these for Bobby. She had 3 unintentional flower displays on her south-facing deck in full sun exposure. Spontaneous container planting of starry bright magenta pink Silene rubella, subspecies rubella. Garden catch fly or none so pretty. And it's in the Coriacea family. Silene is seeded into the pot and is an annual herb from the upright rosettes of blue-green leaves. Rise 14 to 16 branching stems of flowers, late spring, summer bloom in moderate sun with occasional water. Did not tolerate the heat wave. And then she has the geranium roseanne next to it. And I guess that's been in there.
A little Ehrhardia in there.
Is that this? What's a Ehrhardia? I'm not familiar with that.
Ehrhardia is the grass that I call it Martin's grass. He saw it in my garden, which I'd never had it. It just started. And he said, "Oh my God, you have that grass." And he was right, because it's very hard to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm sure I have that as well. I'm sure that's a common little interloper there.
Yeah.
And then she has these that are both self-seeded, major octoporea and rubifolia. And then she has a Lysimachia, numerifolia, numularia, aria. Anyway, I'm probably killing these names here. So those all reseeded as well. And then she has the Silene Coronaria, the Lychnis Coronaria, and Agrostemma Coronaria. Oh, I guess these are all synonyms. Coronaria, coriacea, rose campion, catch fly, and I know that is known to reseed as well.
It's a great reseeder. I love it.
Really plant with a kind of gray fuzzy foliage.
Yeah, it's really a cool plant, I think.
Yeah. And then I think Charlotte just joined us with this her little vine there. I'm not sure how big this grows. Hopefully she can tell us.
Hello.
Hello, Charlotte.
Yeah, I've got it in a container, and it sprawls around pretty long, so I don't know what it would do if I put it in the ground.
Is this its first year?
No, I've had it for quite a while, and actually I went to get a what do you call them, that like an obelisk to train it on, because what I had before was too short for it. And I thought, oh my God, I ended up accidentally cutting more off than I expected, and I thought, oh, I'd ruined it, but it came back with a bang. So
oh, that's good. That's good. And it blooms this time of year?
Almost all the time.
Ah, okay. Well, you're in San Francisco. Is it frost tender?
No,
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't really had a chance to test that out too much.
no, I had it for a few years.
Okay. How big is it in your garden?
Some frost, but not a lot.
How big has it gotten?
It didn't get down to 18, but it probably went down to 25.
How big did it get in your garden, Kristen?
I had it in the ground, and I don't remember anymore, but I had it for quite a while.
Okay.
Maybe went up the fence to 6 feet.
Okay. Charlotte, we're gonna when we do the deer sphere workshop, we can make an obelisk. So keep that in mind. And then you have the Streptocarpus.
Yeah, those are ones I actually got from the San Mateo Garden Center. They had a little, place where they sell plants that people leave there. So it was kind of like buying a pig in a poke, but they bloom, and they do well for me. So, and they're outdoors.
Aren't they related to African violets, or than just Nerinaceae, or not?
Yeah, they're just Nereids. Yeah.
Okay, and you treat them like primroses, or how do you grow them? partial shade, or?
Again, in a container, in kind of a shadier spot. I have some more select ones, but I've kept some of them in my garden room because I was running out of spots that were really good outside and they were getting a little too fried.
They bloom in
So,
the spring through summer, or and into fall, or?
throughout the year.
Okay. And you have them outside, or you said some are in your garden room.
They're outside, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're not so easy to find, but they're really great bloomer and showy,
They are showy, yeah.
and a good potted plant. Is Jeff here? I'm excited about his little experiments that he does. He's got this begonias and orchids wired in a branch with a bed of sphagnum moss for moisture. And I don't know if this was cuttings of this little begonia. I have one that's similar, and I just chopped it off because it's getting too long, and it's tended to sprout along on the rhizome or the stem. So I don't know exactly how he has these rooted in there, or if he's just did it like with the soil with the wire around it and the sphagnum moss to keep it from falling out.
I'm supposed to go visit his garden again, but I didn't go soon enough here to get
Oh,
up.
okay.
Yeah, I think this is in his back garden, so it's very sheltered back there.
Okay. And then he has this other begonia, chitoensis, native Japan, looking best at the end of the season. And it's rhizomaceous begonia with erect stems, starts out creeping, and then as it matures, it goes upright, which is kind of interesting. And evidently you can get about 2 feet tall in the wild.
He brought me a cutting, which is just getting started. So.
He showed us last fall, I think it was last fall, or maybe it was last spring. He had showed us his crevice garden that he planted. That was 30 inches across, to give you some perspective here. And I'm not sure, it'd be interesting to note how many he's had to replace or do, but he says got all his labels going, and it's evidently 9 inches deep. And
I'd like to know where he got the container.
yeah, true. It kind of looks like it's cement. I'm not sure. Yeah. Hopefully he'll join us here. I think I said Bobby joining us. And here's it from a different angle. That's better focus. All sorts of fun stuff. I finally planted. I had a 2-foot tub waiting for planting, and I planted it, and I went away for the weekend. I came back and something was digging in it.
Oh,
So frustrating.
I get in my garden every day. I'm knocking pots over.
I wonder how many different species Jeff has a container.
Quite a few.
Oh.
It was a pretty big container as well, and of course they're kind of small plants. Does anybody know what this any insects? I think this is a tussock moth, what I researched. And then I think and I'm not sure if this one is, but some of them are have like that like stinging nettle stuff on the hairs. Does anybody know anything about this?
I've had one in my garden too, but I didn't know. I don't remember what it was. I found out at the time.
Was it just a one-off type thing, or did it really
Yeah.
kind of decimate
I
your?
only saw one time.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a good thing.
Okay. I now have 3 of them.
Oh, there you are.
No, I have 3 of them now, and I isolated them in a kind of terrarium. I feed them leaves every so often.
You'll have to report
The
back.
question is, do I let them hatch into moths and chomp away on my garden? Or do I send them to caterpillar heaven? I'm
Good
sure if I
question.
found 3, there's probably more.
Well, especially if you got them contained, it'd probably be interesting to see what they turn out as. But I'm not sure if you want to let
Well,
them
I
loose.
have a picture. I think you sent me a picture of the moth, and it's a little brown moth, not very interesting looking.
Mm-hmm. Some of these insects are on the agricultural, watch out list. But I don't know that much about it.
Connie, did you try to take a picture and use the modern identification?
No, I have I have it identified and a picture of the moth. And I think Ellen sent me the picture of the moth, and somebody else sent me an ID on it. And I was at the Sunday streets in my neighborhood yesterday, and somebody from San Francisco Environment was there, and I showed her the pictures of the caterpillar and the moth, and she'd never seen one before. But I'd just like some input. If you had one in your garden, would you keep it or not? Or them, I guess.
You have a really small garden, Connie, and if you let this take over, it's very destructive for you because you don't have a big.
That's what I was wondering. It's on my apple tree now.
I would probably not take the risk, but I certainly wouldn't let the hatchlings out of your terrarium. That's for sure.
Okay, that was kind of my idea, but I was wondering if anybody, had any good reason to let them, hatch and and take over my garden.
All I remember is the caterpillar moved along pretty quickly, pretty fast on the ground.
Well, there's one of the three in the terrarium is extremely active. The other one may be actually going into dormancy because it doesn't seem to do much.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, I don't know. I don't know what happened to the third one. I can't seem to find it.
The other one ate it.
Yes.
It escaped.
Okay, any other comments on that to help Connie out with that decision?
Yeah, I think that I like that consensus. I think it will, they will have to. Maybe I'll put them in my compost bin and my green bin and let them go to wherever that takes them.
So I walked out my front door within the last hour or two, and I saw this blooming. It's just been sitting on there getting kicked around every once in a while, and I was so excited to see a bloom. I love lithops because I love the patterns on the tops and all different colors and different patterns and stuff. So and then when they bloom, it's kind of magical if they just pop it out. But and evidently they could live up to 50 years. I'm sure that's probably in the wild. I'm not sure if anybody's tested that in container gardening, but I understand they like a deep pot, so at least 5 inches deep, and they like not too much water when they're not, well, hardly any water when they're not during the winter, to let it dry out. They're really subject to rot. So, and I guess overhead watering, sometimes the water sits in their little crevice there, and so that's you're gonna best to water it either around or from underneath. Anybody others have any experience with the lithops?
I agree with you, actually.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I put it under the eaves so it doesn't get too much water during the wintertime. And it's true, for the longest time, I grew a bunch of them in a shallow, like 2 or 3 inch pot, and they never bloomed. And I put them into a deeper pot and they did bloom.
Oh, okay. And evidently they have to have a little bit of age to them. I guess at about age 3, they tend to mature enough to bloom. So a bit of an age.
So I inherited a pot of, I think, 3 or 4 different kinds from a woman from my garden club. And it came with the pot and everything, and it's definitely a 6-inch pot. And I've had it in the same place for years. It probably gets a little wind rain, especially last year, but it just keeps massing up and massing up. And the irony is, when I went to South Africa with paniodiculitis, we were in eastern South Africa, and I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he took us out into a field and said, so these lithops are there, and we're all walking around not finding them, and it's grassy, and we're just, the way we grow them here, it is out of your concept of how these things should be growing. And I look at what you've done, and it's very pretty, but that's not how they grow. Mm-hmm. They grow in fields. These were the red ones, that are about clay color. And we couldn't find them until he came up to us and said, this is one, and this is one, and this is one. And he brings everybody out to see that spot. It's in the middle of grass in a very red field. And then you don't see it because of the red clay. And then you begin to see them really well because all of a sudden you've focused on the difference. So as I said, I find it interesting. Now, the red one I have, but it's in the pot. I think I have a gray one and a greener one, and they all bloom constantly, and they're great plants.
You're saying it's more at ground level, which I would assume it probably is, because that's the...
Well, I leave a lot of my pots at ground level on the edge of the walkway coming in towards the kitchen. And it's just, I just leave it alone. It gets overhead water from the drip from the pots above it, but that's about it.
Mhm. Well,
And that's every day in the summer, and then in the winter. And I don't water it, but the rains might hit a little bit because of the wind, but not much.
okay. So how you're saying the way I have it planted isn't right. So how would I plant it, or how it's
No,
grown in nature?
I'm not saying it isn't right. You're doing well with it, but my point is where they grow in nature, they don't look like that. They're growing in soil.
Oh, okay. Well, there's soil underneath, but okay.
Right.
It's
And you
well
want
drained.
that's also a very aesthetically pleasing pot. So, that's your motivation too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all decorative in my. I mean, the plants are all decorative in my estimation.
They are. I agree. I like them a lot.
So then I went to the Mendocino Botanic Garden earlier this fall, and this guy's out there, dahlia garden, and he's got this. First, I see the electric cord, and I'm going, "What is that?" And then it's attached to this shop vac. I'm thinking, "What's this guy doing with that?" And he was moving around because he was done doing what he was doing on the other side, and he was deadheading the flower. So he'd go, go to one and go, and then he'd have this jerking motion, and so I. And I was talking to somebody and they said that he invented it, which was great. And then he has this blade in there. So their beds are pretty deep. So he doesn't, and of course, dahlias are a little bit fragile as far as breaking and stuff. So I thought that was fascinating. That guy has slurping up his deadheading the dahlias.
Obviously, he didn't want his face shown. Looks like an interesting character.
He was concentrating.
Ellen, I don't really understand the angle of the blade inside that tube. I don't understand how that blade works.
Okay, so he slurps up the flower, and of course the stem is there, and he just does a little jerk thing, and it severs the stem, so the flower will go up the tube and into the shop vac.
He cuts the stem with the blade?
Yeah. So the stem is kind of going like a guillotine across the blade, and then he just jerks it and cuts it off, and it goes up into the.
That's pretty cool. There should be a video of his technique.
I'm surprised you didn't do it on your phone.
That's true. Huh? I wasn't thinking that way, but that would have been a good.
You were getting over the initial shock of his methods.
I don't think it would work with the dinner plate ones, but these were a little bit smaller, so.
Well, you could get a bigger nozzle.
This is true. And a slurpier, stronger motor there. Okay, Judy.
I have a Nerine sarniensis that started in bloom, of course, as I was going away for the weekend. It just started to bloom, but I thought it was looking pretty fine. So it's one of those plants that you kind of leave alone, and then in August and September, you start watering it. And it has not bloomed often for me, so I usually am pretty neglectful of it. But this year it did, and so I thought it was worth sharing. And then the other one is a Haemanthus albifloss. I'm pretty sure it's a cross that somebody did with the Cocineus, because it has, if you can see that old leaf on the right, it's very long. Sometimes it gets up to 12 inches long, and that doesn't happen with the albifloss. Plus the red flower. It's not quite as open as the Cocineus, this flower, so that's why I'm thinking it was a cross between the albifloss and the Cocineus. But they're all in bloom. These are late summer, early fall bloomers, so they're real happy right now.
Is the Haemanthus coccineus darker normally or not? I mean, I'm not that familiar.
It's maybe a little bit more like the color of the Nerine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me think also that it's probably a cross with the albifloss, which is white.
And you start watering the Nerine before it starts to bloom?
Oh yeah, about August, September.
Mine are in the ground and they're blooming and they get water all year, whatever the rest of the
All
garden
year,
is.
wow.
Yeah, mine too. I have them in the ground and they get watered all summer, and then I have three flowers this year.
Wow.
The question is, do they have to have water? I understood that they could go dry in the summertime.
Mine are in the ground and they never get water except from rainfall.
Okay.
At
Okay.
fall bloom.
Yeah,
But
you guys are a little bit cooler, I
Francisco.
think, too.
Yeah, I'm cooler, but I don't think that makes a difference.
But you're in San Francisco, and that does make a difference.
Mhm.
You get
They're
fog.
underground. The plants are
That was
underground.
rainy.
Stay as cool as you are, Dick.
Yes. That's,
Usually this time of year, there's a wonderful display of the other Nerine, is it Bodenii, at the Botanic Garden. They in the South African garden, they usually have a
Right.
really fine display.
yeah, I
That's a
remember.
cute little pink one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
kind of finer. Okay, I think that is what we got.